Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Fear the Walking Dead video for today. In this one, we're going to give our thoughts on whether or not we think Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 will be the final season for Fear, and the theory that we might see all of the Fear characters roll into The Walking Dead. And spoiler warning, if you guys are not caught up for Fear the Walking Dead, which is up to the third episode for Fear the Walking Dead Season 4. So this one came in, and I thought we would go ahead and give our thoughts on this kind of fan theory right now, which has become, kind of come out of nowhere, more prevalent now after seeing episode 3, where we see the death of Nick. So after Nick is killed off in Fear, people started sending through these kind of theories or these kind of ideas, because we don't even know right now. I did a video yesterday on Madison and whether or not she's still alive in Fear. And the prediction that I'm giving right now is, I think she's alive, but I think that her group thinks she's dead. So she might either be captured by the Vultures, or she may have been separated from her group, and I think she is out there. But I think that her immediate group that we see meet Morgan, Al, and John thinks that she is dead. So Strand and the rest of them that are still alive, minus Nick at this point. So it brings into question, with them killing off Nick and what we're seeing with Fear right now, if they killed off Madison too, I think it kind of leads people to believe that maybe they're just going to scrap Fear altogether. They're going to say, screw it. So the question, will Season 4 be the last season of Fear the Walking Dead? So it has not been renewed yet for a Season 5, but so far the ratings for Fear have actually been pretty damn good. The first couple episodes did well, 4 million, 3 million, and then this episode went down a little bit, episode 3, with 2.7 million, but I tend to think with such a big death that they pulled off, and the response that we've had to it here online from what I've seen from you guys, it seemed to create a lot of buzz for Fear. So it didn't seem to be, people were upset, people were really angry. I was scratching my head, if you guys remember, if you saw my reaction on Sunday. But it looks like, from what I've seen online right now, it's got a lot more people interested in Fear than may have been interested before. Because really, if you look at the first 3 seasons of characters, even though people that were watching all the episodes were really upset to see Nick be killed off, people that had not seen those first few seasons, maybe they watched season 1 or a few episodes and they decided it's not for them. They were kind of more surprised and shocked, if anything, and it kind of worked for them. So we'll see how this whole thing plays out and what this looks like as we get closer. But it has not been renewed yet for a 5th season. It's still early, though. We've only had 3 seasons of Season 4. So, yes, the original Walking Dead gets confirmed right away. After we get a premiere or whatever, they usually confirm another season of Walking Dead, like Season 9. But for Fear, they have not done that yet. However, I would think that with the U.S. viewership the way it's been so far, for Fear to get started with this season, as long as it doesn't die out entirely and go below 2 or 1 million or something by the end of the season, I think it's probably likely that we will most likely get another season of Fear. That said, I could be wrong about the Madison prediction. It is possible that she is dead, but even if she was, and you have literally just a few characters surviving from the original Fear group, I still don't think that means that they would probably want to lose Fear. The whole idea of this group we're seeing in Fear with Alicia and the others maybe rolling into The Walking Dead is something I've seen in comments too, like at the end of season 4, maybe Morgan convinces them, okay, I know this group back there, they're safe, they've got huge communities, let's go join them and we'll have a better chance of survival because you guys keep dying all out here, so let's go back there, I'll bring you to them or whatever, and then they end up joining with The Walking Dead in season 9 or something. So this is kind of a popular fan theory, but I'd put it in the same kind of bucket as the Whispers theory with the crossover idea that the Fear group was the Whispers. I think we can pretty much dump that one now. I do not think that Madison is Alpha, and unless we see something very compelling to suggest otherwise, I tend to think after Nick being killed off that they most likely want Fear to be its own standalone series going forward. I don't think that they will want to cancel it and then bring the characters into The Walking Dead unless the results for each episode get so bad and you have below 1 million people watching and it's just not worth it for them to do. However, it's not easy for them to even get a show that's going to get 4 million views in a premiere or 3.5 or whatever. That's a little bit tricky for AMC to do. They have shows like Terror and the Badlands, Into the Badlands, and they've had all kinds of other series as well too. it's not easy to build new series, and I think for Fear, they'll probably milk it as much as they can and keep it going as long as they can. Now they have Morgan in it as well, too, so I would think they could at least get a few seasons more out of Fear, and I don't think it'd be advantageous for them. Creatively, it'd be cool to see the Fear group kind of go back into The Walking Dead and meet the rest of the Walking Dead characters and everything and kind of combine in that way would be really sweet. But at the same time, it wouldn't be advantageous for them in terms of the network. So you have two series, you roll one into the other, Fear into the original series to have Morgan convince everyone to go back. And what does that do for the network? You know, it might help Walking Dead ratings a little bit. You know, to be honest with you, having the Fear group combine into the original Walking Dead group is not really going to do much for, you know, the series, the original Walking Dead series. I mean, it'd be a bit of a boost, but really what you'd be more doing is you'd be killing the other show, and that would not be worth the crossover. I don't think to have everybody go into the one and just say, screw this whole, 16 episodes of Fear or whatever. That's a lot of hour episodes of television that they can do, and it's probably worth it for them to continue to do. So this theory, personally, I don't really like it. As far as theories on predicting future possible crossovers, I probably won't do them that much because you would think that they want the shows to stay separate, and I don't think Morgan will be returning anytime soon to the original Walking Dead, maybe in a few years if they ever decide to do it. But for now, I think that they're really trying to keep Fear going, even though some of the people involved, such as Frank Delane, who played Nick, their hearts are not in at 100%. I do think that AMC wants to continue that show going, and I'm happy that they're doing it, because if you think of it, otherwise, you have the original Walking Dead series, and that's great, but Fear really does add, especially if you look at Season 3, and so far this season, I think it adds a lot for Walking Dead in terms of the television series universe. So you can do the stuff with Morgan, you can have all these other characters, and hopefully more of them survive long term so that we can actually see more development, more evolution. Hopefully the cast wants to stay, and you don't have someone like Alicia decide that she wants to leave too or something. Because if that happened, then it would get to the point where it's like, you're pretty much rebooting or revamping the entire show with a totally new cast of characters, and that's very difficult to do because the audience doesn't know them very well, and they're not going to be very attached to them emotionally. So right now, I don't like either idea. I think that the two shows should be separate going forward, and that you might have a little bit of crossover in the future, but probably not that much. Most likely, you want to keep them separate, and you want to try to make Fear the Walking Dead a success, which I view, it as a okay type of success, but at the same time, saturation, because you're doing so many episodes, has really made it so that it's never been quite as popular since its first season is when it first debuted. And even if you look at the Walking Dead original series right now and what it's doing, it's not even as popular as Fear was in its first season, so it's kind of crazy to see. But at the same time, I think going forward, Fear will remain to be its own show, and we'll probably see minimal crossovers with kind of the fan hope or theory that eventually you could see the groups meet and then go their separate ways again and continue to be unique, distinct series. I think that's the best case scenario for everybody, if they ever do anything. But I don't think ending Fear in order to pump up the Walking Dead roster is really a good idea. The Walking Dead has enough characters already as it is. They just killed off Carl. Obviously, they're not hurting that bad for characters, for sure. But certainly you guys can leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about that question. I do think it is a really good question, and kind of the future of the series for Fear. Another might be, how many seasons do you think it'll get? I think since we're pretty much through Season 4, they would have filmed all of Season 4 most likely already, or most of it. I think we'll get at least a Season 5 and maybe a 6. And then maybe after Season 6 or 7, if it's still not working, then they might wrap it up at that point. You might see something like what people are predicting here. But continue to send me your questions, and definitely leave a comment below on how many seasons of Fear do you think they'll actually get out of it. What's your prediction? Just, no right or wrong, just write a prediction. How many do you think they're going to get out of Fear? Gaia Legend says, Frank made a stupid mistake now. Fear is one of the shows that everyone is watching now. Why would you step out of that? I can't understand, or I can understand the fun basis because I wouldn't do things myself that I don't enjoy doing, but if it's your career, ... So that's a good question, and I did a video on Monday where we went over an interview where he explained why he wanted to leave Fear. And a lot of it was due to how difficult it is having to leave home and being away for so long, a lot of the year and that, and him wanting to do projects that he feels more passionate about or that he enjoys more. And you can totally get that. I mean, this is the thing, right? We're all fans of Walking Dead. We're fans of zombie apocalypse, stuff. media, comics, TV series, both TV series really, for a lot of us anyway. So he might not be, though, right? So he might have taken the role because it was a big role to try to jumpstart another Walking Dead, to do a Fear the Walking Dead a companion series or spinoff and of the original series. And so it would have been a huge role for him at first. Obviously, he's had other big roles as well, too. But that's a pretty big role to be in one of Cable's. The first season especially, he's like, at the very beginning, he's a lead. And so he's it's going to be great for his career that he was even in Fear for that many years. But it sounds like he wants to try to do other things. And, it's up to him. It's his career, it's his decisions and what have you. We don't know, obviously, what he was getting paid to do Fear and how much it was for him. If it was a ton of money, like, tons and tons compared to other things he can make, it's kind of hard to say because with actors, you really don't know. But if it was pretty good money, then... it's just tricky. It might work out best for him. If you look at Jon Bernthal, he was killed off early in The Walking Dead, and then his career, I'm sure, has done probably even better than if he would have been alive all this time in Walking Dead. Getting Punisher, being a lead on that, movies and everything else. So maybe that's kind of what Frank is thinking about, is that maybe if he leaves now, while the show's still hot and people are still watching it, he can get some spotlight on him, and then he can get other roles later on. Don't know. We'll have to see how it works out for him, and maybe he's right, maybe he's not, but it sounds like he wanted to go enough to make it happen. And it's tricky to say from the outside for us. If your heart's not in something and you gotta leave for so much of the year and do everything like that, then I guess it's it's just not in it. You're not gonna do it. But yeah, I hear what you're saying too, Guy Legend, where it's like most of us regular people have to clock in and do jobs that a lot of times we don't like. Like, I'm a trades guy, right? So I gotta fix things and do that. And certainly I have a lot of days that are really, really tough. And I can tell you guys right now, because I know it's kind of big in popular culture right now, that do what you love and things like this. Steve Jobs, right? So his quotes on that kind of stuff. But you won't always love what you do. There's going to be tough days. There's going to be days where, like people who are involved in Walking Dead, there's going to be days where they get covered in, fake blood and all the other stuff, or whatever it has to be. It's going to suck to film, right? It's going to be gross. Maybe they got to go in a swamp and they got to go all around in this swamp and do all this crazy stuff. And that's some of the stuff that they have to do as part of it. So it sucks some days, and it's that way with any job. So for him, I guess he probably already knew that, and he probably just wasn't able to keep himself doing it because his heart really wasn't into it. Had he have had a role in the original Walking Dead series, maybe it wouldn't have been the same way. But because it was a companion or spinoff series, maybe that for him, he was like, he just wasn't into it that much. If you're not a big fan of Walking Dead and of zombie apocalypse stuff, then it might be kind of torturous to work in that if you really don't like watching that genre at all. If you don't watch Walking Dead whatsoever or zombie apocalypse movies or anything, then you might not want to work in them, even if you're a good actor and it's a pretty good position for you. I guess it depends who you are, so it's what it is. Good luck, Charlie, because I don't think you're making it out of Season 4 alive, was a comment. So, and I think you're right about that one. I would be surprised if Charlie did make it out. And correction to a previous video, apparently Alicia and some of them did see Charlie, and they know that she was the one who shot Nick. So, yeah, so just kind of something there. I think they confirmed it on Talking Dead, which I didn't watch. Jay Morris, the review guy, says, Trev, Carl or Nick? Which one was more emotional for you? To me, it was Nick. I even felt more emotion over him than Glenn. Carl was just bitten off screen and had time, but Nick was sudden. It had my jaw on the floor. The filming was amazing. Still sad to see him go. That's one thing about this Nick one, is that it was not spoiled for me at all, and I thought that was fantastic because, with the original Walking Dead series, stuff gets spoiled for me all the time. There's some deaths, like this finale, actually, I didn't really have many spoilers for Season 8, but a lot of the deaths throughout the Walking Dead series have been spoiled for me over the years. But this one was not at all for Nick. I had no idea this was going to happen, nor did I expect it whatsoever. So it was crazy shocking, and it was one of the most shocking deaths I've seen, definitely in Fear. It's the most shocking death in Fear, right up there with Travis, who's also one of my favorite characters in Fear. So they're killing off all my favorite characters in Fear. Travis, Troy, Nick, they kill off all the guys, right? It's what it is. So Strand better look out, right? So, but as far as like comparing the Nick death to Carl, that's really tricky to say. And again, you guys can leave a comment below on what you think about this one. that's really hard to compare, because Carl was such a huge part for so many years. 8 years, if you count his season 8 time in the first half and in the second half too with his final episode there and that. That was such a huge one. For Nick, it's just really so sudden, like you said here, and very emotional with regards to questioning the series. So with Carl, I was questioning the original Walking Dead and the future for that. But with Nick being killed off in Fear, it's like the big difference I see here is that in The Walking Dead, you have a lot of different characters you can switch to and you can use to hold down episodes. You don't just have Rick, but you have, Carol, you had Morgan, you had, lots of other characters there, Maggie, and just so many characters in the original Walking Dead series. Fear does not have a roster like that. If you look at how many people Fear has, Lucy, who was really only there for Nick, I want to say, so she'll have to develop in some way. Strand, Alicia, and Madison. Daniel and the others, we don't know if we're ever going to see them again. So you've got literally like four people you're leaving them with, and then you're adding on the new ones with Morgan, Al, and John, which is fine, which gives you a little bit more. But literally, you've killed off so many of those original. To have only, by season 4, that many survivors is nuts. Because the original Walking Dead group at the prison, they had lots of survivors in the first few seasons. Fear literally has next to nobody. They have Ophelia and Troy and, Daniel, we don't know, but, so many of these characters just gone. So that's why with Nick, it really makes me question, is this series going to continue? Like, are they looking to wrap this up or what? Because you wouldn't think that you would kill him off otherwise. It's like killing off Daryl in season 4 or killing off Rick. It's pretty close to that. If you kill Madison off too, you've literally gone the Game of Thrones route and you've killed off your Rick and you've killed off maybe your Carl at that time, which is crazy. 1949 52479 says this show is doomed. They have no idea what they're doing with this show. This show is a complete disaster. And it's true that with a comic book series, you just need your artist to draw in any of those characters. So you don't run into problems like this where certain cast members like Dale, the actor who played Dale, Jeffrey DeMunn, I think, he wanted to leave, so he was killed off the Walking Dead series. So that was a big one. Now with Nick decided he wanted to leave Fear the Walking Dead. It's not a good thing, and it really is going to probably hurt the morale of the other cast people involved. Madison, Kim Dickens, and Alicia, and the others as well too, Strand and Lucy as well. Imagine her, imagine how, she must feel, because she's coming into the series and she's supposed to have this love interest thing going with Nick, and then Nick gets killed off. It's like somehow she's going to have to make it, or last in the series without her primary purpose for even being there, probably, which was to be a love interest for Nick, because he was your A-lister, and she comes in as like a C or D, maybe moves up to a B, and that's about it. So, we'll see. But granted, you could make the same argument for Maggie. It worked for her after Glenn was killed, so she was there for a long time, and maybe it's not quite as a stretch, but we'll see what they do with Lucy. So I have no idea. But yeah, you're right. 1949, 52479. It's crazy to see what they're doing with the show. I don't think Fear the Walking Dead is dead or is doomed. It makes you question, okay, are they going to keep going with this, or are they going to just wrap this thing up because nobody cares, right? Different producers, different showrunner now, and man, it's some crazy stuff. So maybe that's it for Fear. No, I think they can do it. I think they'll last, and I think they'll sort this one out. And I hope we get at least a couple more years of Fear, because personally, I do really enjoy it. The stuff with Morgan this season has been great. And then again, you kill off a character that nobody thought you would. You do get that Game of Thrones type of rub where it's like, that's, and some people were saying in comments, that's how a zombie apocalypse should be, where literally some characters just get haphazardly shot out of nowhere, and you would never really see that in the original Walking Dead series, so much as this. We saw Carl, so it's pretty unpredictable too, but this one is, with Fear, it's more unpredictable, I think, than the original Walking Dead series, not just because there's a comic, but also because you're killing off a character like Nick, that's very Game of Thrones-esque to do that and kill off one of your absolute standout lead characters from the series when nobody expects it. It's very crazy, and certainly it's making me think about the show. It does kind of piss me off, though, because we followed them for all those seasons, and it kind of feels like it was for nothing. at this point because he's dead already, and I expected him to be there for quite a while longer. But again, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Last one will be from Raphael Tremblay, who says, I'm so used to The Walking Dead never killing any main characters. I saw Nick get shot in the heart, and I was like, oh, he is all right. Might be hurt for an episode or two, but he's going to be back kicking some asses. A shot in the heart cannot hurt that much, right? Guess I was wrong. I'm not sure exactly where it hit him. I'm not sure if it hit him in the heart. I probably have to watch it again. Some of you guys can comment below exactly where the shot was if you want to. I'm not sure exactly where it landed, but I'd probably have to watch it again to see. But I felt the same way as you did, Raph. Like when he got shot, I was like, oh, okay, so they're going with a Carl type situation where he gets shot by Otis and he's down and they have to take care of him and carry him around or whatever for a while, and then eventually he heals back up and he's okay. And then it just never happened, and it never turned into some kind of dream sequence or anything like that. You see Alicia and the others reacting to it, and I was just like, really? Like, are you serious? Like, you can't do that. Like, what are you doing? You're going to kill the show, you know? So it was totally crazy for me, and it was not something, even after they did it, I was looking at the preview for the next week being like, okay, is there anything I can see here that makes this go away or something? Because it's such a huge one that you wouldn't think that they would ever do that, and apparently they didn't want to do it. They did it because they kind of had to, so it's what it is. Anyway, you guys can leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about all these comments, the future for Fear, how many seasons you think it'll last, Nick not being in the series, how you felt about it, and first time watching it, how did you react to it? Were you in denial like me and Raph here were? If you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite, and if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it, and you can do it. You can subscribe at the bottom left, turn on the notifications by clicking the bell, and that's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.